Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the human family tree, but we're going to a branch that's often misunderstood, the Neanderthals. For a long time, we pictured them as brutish, primitive cavemen, a failed experiment on the road to modern humans. But recent discoveries are painting a much more complex, and honestly, a much darker picture. What if I told you the story of their extinction isn't as simple as we thought? What if the truth is written not just in their bones, but in our own DNA? Let's travel back in time, about 400,000 years ago. Europe and Asia were the dominion of the Neanderthals. They were masters of their environment, incredibly resilient, and survived multiple ice ages. They weren't the hunched-over brutes of old cartoons. They had brains larger than ours. They created tools, controlled fire, buried their dead with rituals, and likely had some form of language. They were successful, intelligent hominins who thrived for hundreds of thousands of years. Then, around 45,000 years ago, a new group of hominins arrived in their territory from Africa, our ancestors, Homo sapiens. For a few thousand years, these distinct human populations coexisted. They shared the same landscapes, hunted the same animals, and sought shelter in the same caves. And then, around 40,000 years ago, the Neanderthals vanished. They disappeared from the fossil record, forever. The big question has always been, why? The classic theory is straightforward. Competition. The story goes that we, Homo sapiens, were just better, smarter, more adaptable. With better tools and social structures, we outcompeted the Neanderthals for resources, pushing them into marginal lands until they simply died out. It's a clean, simple narrative that places us, the winners, at the top of the evolutionary ladder. But science rarely offers such simple answers. The truth is far more intricate and, frankly, more unsettling. One of the first clues that this simple competition story was the whole picture came from a groundbreaking discovery in 2010. Scientists successfully sequenced the Neanderthal genome. When they compared it to the DNA of modern humans, they found something astonishing. People of non-African descent today carry between 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. Let that sink in. The Neanderthals didn't just vanish. A part of them lives on inside most of us. This means our ancestors and Neanderthals didn't just compete. They interbred. They had children together. This changes everything. It means the encounters between our ancestors and Neanderthals were not always hostile. There must have been moments of cooperation, cultural exchange, and even love. We can see the legacy of this mixing today. Some of the genes we inherited from Neanderthals relate to our immune system, helping us fight off certain viruses. Others are linked to skin pigmentation and our ability to adapt to colder, less sunny climates outside of Africa. It's a direct genetic gift from our ancient relatives. But this is where the story starts to take a darker turn. While we carry their DNA, the genetic flow seems to have been mostly one way. Modern human DNA has been found in the genomes of late-stage Neanderthals, but it's far less common to find our specific Y chromosome, which is passed from father to son, in their remains. Furthermore, when scientists analyze the Neanderthal genes in our own DNA, they notice that these genes are slowly being purged from our genome over generations. Many of the Neanderthal gene variants that we inherited were apparently disadvantageous for us, particularly those related to fertility. Some studies suggest that male hybrids, the sons of a Neanderthal and a Homo sapiens, may have been sterile or had reduced fertility. This is a common phenomenon in nature when two closely related, but distinct species interbreed. It's called hybrid infertility. If the male offspring of these pairings couldn't have children of their own, it would have created a significant reproductive barrier. This means that while interbreeding was happening, it wasn't creating a robust, blended population. Instead, it might have been a genetic dead end for the Neanderthal lineage. Imagine small, scattered groups of Neanderthals. Their population was already low, fragmented by climate change and the harsh realities of Ice Age life. Now, introduce a new, more numerous population of Homo sapiens. Even if interactions were peaceful, every time a Neanderthal individual bred with a Homo sapiens, it was a gamble. If they produced infertile offspring, that Neanderthal's genetic line was effectively terminated. It wouldn't contribute to the next generation of Neanderthals. This leads to a chilling hypothesis known as extinction by assimilation. It's not about violent conquest, but a slow, silent genetic takeover. The larger, more genetically diverse Homo sapiens population could have simply absorbed the smaller Neanderthal groups over thousands of years through repeated instances of interbreeding. The distinct Neanderthal gene pool could have been diluted to the point of disappearing. They didn't just die out. They were bred out of existence. Their population was slowly swallowed by ours. Think about the social dynamics at play. We have no way of knowing if these encounters were consensual partnerships or the brutal results of conflict. Given what we know about human history, it was likely a mix of both, but the outcome was the same. The Neanderthal population shrank, while the hybrid DNA was carried forward within the ever-growing Homo sapiens population. It's a form of extinction that is far more subtle and, in a way, more tragic than a simple story of being outcompeted. They became a part of us, but at the cost of their own existence as a separate people. And there's more. Recent archaeological finds have started to challenge the idea that we were technologically superior. In some sites, Neanderthal tools from their later periods appeared just as complex as those made by early Homo sapiens. Some archaeologists even suggest that Neanderthals might have learned or developed new techniques after encountering our ancestors. It wasn't necessarily a case of a superior culture replacing an inferior one. They were our equals in many ways. So, what is the dark truth of Neanderthal ancestry? It's that their disappearance wasn't a simple case of us being better. It was a complex, drawn-out process involving climate change, small population sizes, and direct interaction with our ancestors. And that interaction wasn't just competition. It was intimate. We carry their legacy in our very cells, a permanent reminder of the time when we weren't the only kind of human on this planet. The dark truth is that our own success story might be inextricably linked to their demise, not through outright war, but through a slow, quiet genetic absorption that ultimately led to their extinction. They became ghosts in our own genome. The story of the Neanderthals is a humbling one. It reminds us that our own position on this planet was never guaranteed. We are the last humans standing, not because we were destined to be, but because of a complex and perhaps tragic series of events that saw our closest relatives fade into history, leaving behind only their bones and a faint genetic echo within us. What do you think? Was it a peaceful merger or a tragic end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into our deep past, be sure to like and subscribe for more.